first episode of
Yay.
Horsetalk, the podcast that's live and you can't edit and your IT stuff doesn't work. And yeah, we're joined tonight by Matt's Retro World. Matt, thanks for joining us. If you guys do not know, Matt streams here on Whatnot. He is also an eBay seller, amongst other things. And we appreciate you hanging out tonight.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be your first guest.
All right, Matt. So back to the question at hand. Would you rather fight a sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Probably a horse-sized duck, because there's a possibility that I could just run away from that instead of fighting 100 ducks all at one time, or duck
Nice, nice.
horses that are small.
That question came from my wife tonight. Tonight was actually her birthday, so we took her out to dinner, and I was like, man, I need some good questions to ask Matt, other than just, hey, what do you sell? You know, why do you sell? Sell, et cetera, et cetera. So that was one of them, and then the other question to kind of break the ice a little bit would be, man, if you had to watch the same movie every day, you had to watch it, you didn't have a choice.
Uh-huh.
What movie would you watch?
Oh, me. I mean, I love movies so much. It's such a hard pick. There would have been a time I could have said I could have watched Castaway, but if I'd basically be by myself every day watching that same movie over and over. Um, Man, I'm gonna go with one of my childhood favorites, and it would probably be like Rocky Four. I could watch that all
Oh,
the time, any day. Just see America in communism in the good old ways of the '80s. So
is Rocky Four the one that's where he's in Russia, like, and he's
yeah,
fighting Drago in Russia?
yeah,
Nice, man. I'm looking at the
yeah. We lose
VHS set
Apollo
here.
Creed, sadly.
Got it. That's the one where he's like training in the barn, and
Oh yeah,
but he's not running after chickens like he did in the first one.
no, but it's prime steroid Stallone beating up steroid Drago.
Awesome. That's cool. So were you always a Rocky fan? Have you obviously you've seen them all, right?
Oh yeah, every last one, including all the creeds and I became a Rocky fan. I guess I don't know. I was probably about 10 years old, and I probably watched it with my dad. I can't remember the first time I seen it, and I probably watched it with him. And I think the music hooked me because that is an energetic music that will just be like make you feel like you can do anything. Um, and then as a kid, as everybody was in our age, we could go to video stores and rent things and stuff. Well, sometimes we didn't have the finances to go rent for money. So, and I think I brought this up before that we got to go to like a library and you could rent movies and stuff there for free, movies and games and such. And um, so they always had the Rockies there, and I just pick one or the other and just bring them home for free and watch them all the time because all the rest of the movies were horrible. The only other movie that I got from the library, and really I only got it because my sisters liked it as well, was Rockadoodle. It was a corny cartoon about a chicken that was basically Elvis. His name was Chanticleer. I think it was based like out of Louisiana and into Tennessee and all that stuff. So great cartoon movie that I always watched.
Of course, it was based out of Louisiana. That sounds like just the run of the mill over here. So that's cool,
It
man.
was wild.
I always remember watching the Rocky movies when I was a kid, but I think I was a bigger fan of Arnold more than I was a Stallone guy. Like I loved that movie Commando. Remember
Oh
that
yeah,
one?
I watch that movie all the time.
Yeah, I always remember that part. He's like, blow off some steam, Bennett or Benedict or whatever the guy's
Yeah,
name is, and he like shoves a pipe down his chest. That's my favorite part. So now that I think about it, I'm like, probably shouldn't have been watching that at like 7 years old.
yeah, that's what I was
Probably
gonna say. My parents pretty much shielded me from too much violence. It's like I never got to watch the First Bloods or the Rambos and then as I got older, I could do like Commando or Terminator because they weren't horrible, but they were still kind of violent for me in the beginning.
awesome, man. So I was thinking about it today. So Matt, your show was one of the first shows I saw on Whatnot. So
Oh yeah.
I was watching a Chase After the Right Price video, and they're like, "You got to get on Whatnot. Come buy some games." This is back in guess September or August. And then
Oh yeah,
one of the
yeah.
first shows I bounced across was Matt's Retro World, and I was like, "This is pretty cool, man." The auctions and whatnot. And then I remember sending you a message one day. I'm like, "Hey, dude, text me." And then Matt was probably like, "This creepy dude wants me to text him about whatever," and
That's
kind of
exactly
went
right.
from there, man. I think I've talked to you almost every day for the last 8 months. It seems like so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when you text me and I was like, I don't know. I was telling my wife, I was like, I don't know, this dude might be a murderer. You just never know. But I mean, like, I don't think he is, but you never know. So I just took it like at a snail's pace and just kind of went from there. And then, because I remember you talking about you were coming to Plano or something and we should get together. And then you were coming back, but things happened where we couldn't connect and hook up and, hang out and stuff. But yeah, that was some wild times because I didn't really talk to anybody through outside of Whatnot. Like I've talked to Atomic just on DMs, and I've talked to Just Thrifting just on DMs, but outside of that, I never really talked to anybody, and so it was different. But hey, everything's turned out to be pretty cool so far. And then you actually got to meet my wife and my kiddos the other day, and I've met your wife and kiddos, so hey, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't tell you the story, but that first time that you came down to the cabin, I was telling some of the guys at the office. I'm like, yeah, my buddy Matt's coming down. They're like, where's he at? I'm like, he's out in Texas, and they're like, is he staying at your house? I'm like, well, technically he's staying in the cabin. They're like, but he's staying at your house. I'm like, well, if I talk to the dude every day for 6 months, I feel like I know if he's going to axe murder me or not. Uh, so the axe murder thoughts were going in both directions for a little bit there, and
Yeah.
sure enough, man, you tried, but you didn't succeed. I'm still here. So
Yes, yes, I tried. I put poison in your drink and thought, man, I'm going to take all these games home with me, just drive the truck to the back and load it up and go home. But
I, I did blame Matt for every game I couldn't find for the next 3 months. I'm like, the only person that's been in this cabin is Matt's Retro World, and that my Wii U. I still know you took the Shakedown Hawaii for the Wii U because it's gone,
oh
man.
no. There are zero Wii U games. Well, I lie. I have one Wii U and I think it's like a Star Fox. That's the only Wii U game I got. It I got zero in this house for me or for sale pretty much.
I'm kind of notorious for losing things and then not being able to find literally anything. Um, I mean, there's been times I'm looking for my shoes and they're on my feet. It's that scenario. So I'm still wondering if this other copy of Shakedown Hawaii is in this cabin somewhere, and I just can't find it. It's just unfortunate because I think it's like a $90 game, and it
Yeah.
just poof
And
gone.
you
So
you don't remember what seller you bought it from, do you either?
it was on the bay. I remember it was on the bay. I could not find that game on Whatnot. There was nowhere on Whatnot, and then Wii U in person is more rare and scarce
Yeah.
than it seems like. I've ran into 5 copies of Conkers to every 1 copy of Shakedown Hawaii in person.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
the fun part is, Matt, I can see you on a thumbnail on my phone while you talk. So I'm kind of
Oh
holding this
nice.
up, so I feel like I'm not talking to the evil mirror. You know.
Nice.
So take us back, man. Like I really just started collecting again probably in the last year or so. I was a what my brother called a Nintendo nerd growing up. But what about you, man? Like, when did it start? When did the bug really hit you? And how far back do you remember it?
Well, I mean, as a kid, um, I didn't even know games. I didn't. And my parents, um, just out of the blue for Christmas, I guess they had no idea what to get me. And so I opened up and it was a Nintendo action set with Mario Duck Hunt, one like I have now in my room. And I we didn't obviously we didn't have much money as a kid, so I would get games for a birthday or for Christmas. I didn't get all the games and stuff, and um, but I grew into that, and I mean, like I'm pretty sure that I got my first Nintendo like right before Super Nintendo came out, probably 90, 91, something like that. And so I got to enjoy it for a couple years before something new came out. And then, it was just on from then. I got the Super Nintendo and didn't want to play the regular Nintendo. And my parents were like, well, if you don't want it, what are we going to do with it? And I was like, I don't know, sell it at a garage sale, because they did a lot of those all the time. So dad would took it off and sold it and all the games with it, and then tried to recoup some money to pay back for buying the Super Nintendo set. And that trend continued until basically I think I got into high school, and there was a choice to be made. Do you want to go PlayStation or do you want to go GameCube? And I decided to go PlayStation at that point, because I thought I heard like GameCube's kind of and PlayStation was already out by the time GameCube was coming out, I think, for the most part. But then I was just in PlayStation forever. Um, and then somewhere along the line, I just, I had my oldest son, and it was just for the longest time it was just me and him. I hadn't met my current wife, and there was no other kids. It was just me and my oldest, and I just didn't have the time, so I just kind of sold out and didn't have anything. And I can remember he started getting interested in games. I think he was about 10 years old, about 2015 or so. And so I went out and found a PlayStation 4 on Facebook Marketplace, and it come with like 2 or 3 games. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. And I can introduce gaming to my son, who's now old enough and kind of intrigued enough into playing that. And I think Minecraft was available then, and so we got Minecraft for it, and he got really into building Minecraft. I can remember just watching him for a little bit and then going away, and he would sit there for hours just building, and he built giant worlds in Minecraft. He didn't actually like playing any kind of like scenarios or anything like that. And so I gave him the PlayStation. I gave it to him and let him put it in its room, the PlayStation that we had bought. And I went off because the PlayStation 4 that had the Red Dead Redemption 2 was coming out in a combo. And I was like, oh, I got to have that, because I'd heard all the people that I was working with had played Red Dead 1, and it wasn't out for PlayStation. So I never got to play it at the time. And so I wanted to play 2. I knew I wanted to play it. And so that's when it started hitting again. But I really wasn't into collecting until after I got remarried, and I had a Wii and some games because some of the kids wanted to play it. And then I sold it at a garage sale, and then I got the itch of like, oh man, it's gone. Now I don't have it, and now I want it back. And so I went out and I was like, man, it's much more expensive to buy this now than it was just a year ago. And we were home obviously for COVID and stuff, and so I just started finding things and buying things and collecting things. And I got jumped on. I don't even know how I remember learning about Whatnot. I really don't. I don't. It may have been because I just happened to jump on YouTube and started watching some of the YouTubers. The first one I saw was Retro Rick, and he started talking about this stuff. And I was like, oh, and he advertised Whatnot. So I was like, well, I'll see what that is. And I wanted to just kind of jump in. So I jumped in and watched his show. And then I learned about Pixel Game Squad through Retro Rick, because they connected and stuff. And so then I learned about them and their channel. And then at that point, I was hooked on Whatnot and just swiping. It really wasn't even games, it was just swiping on Whatnot. But then I was like, well, now I want clean stuff. And I will tell you this. I remember the very first time I jumped into Atomic Boneyard's room. And I don't know if he's here tonight. I hope he is, because it's, to me, it's funny. Here's a man that wasn't on screen, and he had a whole bunch of people in his actual room with him. It was like they were all there, and he was doing this huge show. And I think Cowboy Jesus was in person at the time in his show, but they never got on screen, and they were just talking. And I watched these people. I can remember watching JT James just paying high prices on these games. I was like, these people are nuts, literally nuts. And I'm like, my first inclination, my first thought was, he's got somebody there running up numbers. That was my first thought. Because nobody pays these prices for these games. Somebody's there just bidding it up until they hit the number they want. And I was just like, I can't afford this room. And so I was gone for a couple months. And Atomic says people do this all the time. I'm back in his room all the time, just enjoying it now. But yeah, I mean, I bought for a year and a half straight, just filled up a room full of stuff. And, you know, then I was like, I have no space. So now I got to sell. So a year and a half into it, I decided to sell. And we're almost a year through selling now.
Damn.
So, I mean, I think a year will be in November. I'll be a year, about midway through. I don't know the actual date. I don't remember my first show date. And it's probably in the files that you can pull up or like scroll back to your first show or whatever. But and I probably will do that, or who knows? I may not even care to even say it's my anniversary. I may just be like, it's just another show. Well, it wasn't
Well,
JT being a bully. I'm reading the comments too. It wasn't JT. It was everybody bidding because this was before H5 as well. H5 hadn't jumped in because I remember H5 jumping into every show and he was just like, I don't care what you're buying. I'm buying it over you. It doesn't matter the price. And I thought, man, nobody's buying anything. It's all H5 tonight. I remember watching these guys just and some of the guys that were in Atomic's room that spend a lot of money, they're not there anymore. Like that one guy that's in Vegas, and I can't remember his name, but anytime he jumps in, he'll just it doesn't matter. He'll buy, he'll spend a whole lot, and then he's gone for a long time because he's so busy. But
man, that's crazy. So I must have just been right when I was tuning into Whatnot. It must have been like really right when you were starting, and I had no idea you were just starting. I thought you might have been on there for years.
oh no,
Uh,
yeah,
from the way the shows operated and how they were smooth, and I was like, man, I like it. And I told you this from the beginning too. Like
yeah,
your
JD,
show's
that was
always
the
been
name.
very calm. Like very cool, very calm. I was like, man, he's always in a good mood. You kind of know what to expect, but that's what I've always really enjoyed about your show.
I appreciate it. I try to be in a good mood. There are days that, you get poked and prodded by buyers. There are days. There are days that things don't sell that you want the price to hit, but what are you going to do? So,
Yeah, man. So you've been traditionally an auction show, for
oh
the
yeah.
majority of all the shows I've seen, and I've done that. I've also done the bin thing as well. What's your take on how auction shows are doing today on Whatnot? How's the summer looking for you? Are there times you want to throw your tablet through the window while you're doing auctions? Just give me your thoughts on auctions in general and whatnot.
Well, I'll tell you because I mean, obviously, first thought process is that um I mean the main after I watched the big guys sell because I swear I spent 6 months, sorry, watching JNS. I love the super quick auctions. I got to give the dude credit. The dude sells like beyond. I mean that to sell that much, what he sells is should be a goal. Um, and I just spent so much time and then realized I'm way overpaying for stuff that's not going to hold the value. Although it's cool that I have some of these items, they're just it's not what I want. I want retro. Um, and so I jumped into other rooms to experience retro, which I think I learned to just thrifting first week in the room. I learned a Pawnopoly couple months in, because Pawn was always late shows, and in the beginning I wasn't on late. And but as far as auction goes, and that's where I got my what I want to do. I watched JNS do quick auctions. I watched Just Thrifting do great. Here we're just going to start everything at a low price. And I watched Pawnopoly just sell paper, and I was amazed. And I was like, well, that's kind of what I want to do because when I do that, I feel like I'm doing something. I don't feel like I'm just sitting there. Like, and you have a different outlet. Like you can play games, and if somebody buys something, great, and you put up deals, and then you take a break, and you're like, let's do some selling and stuff. Um, and I've tried the bin shows. It's not for me. I can have things in the bin that add along to my auctions, but I just enjoy the feel of being doing something and having the time flying by to me. Because it feels like I sit there. Like I remember one bin show I did. I sat there only for 2 hours, but it felt like six because I didn't sell but one item the whole time, and I tried and offer things and send flash deals and all these things and nothing. And I was like, well, that's not for me. So that's why I do auction shows. And You asked, how do I feel they're going? There are good days, mostly good days. There are some days, like I know you told me the other day, it feels like, looked like they weren't really buying much in my room. I still did pretty good. I lost on a couple games and I gained on a couple games. And that's just generally how the nature of the beast goes in auction shows. You win some, you lose some. Unless you're Atomic Boneyard, I think you pretty much win all the time. I don't think you lose in his, or he doesn't lose, is what I'm saying. So, um, outside of that, I think we all have good days and bad shows, and it's just part of it. But I enjoy it more than just doing bin items only.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, look, the auction show is definitely more interesting. That's for sure. I found myself, doing auctions. I found myself doing bin. I don't really know which one I like better, but I do always have the mentality of I'm okay selling 4 items tonight if I don't lose a bunch of money on them.
Right.
But then I also had nights like the sealed show we did, our sealed and cellophane show we did a couple weeks ago, and I mean, look, I had games that I literally made almost triple, almost 3 digits on. I had games that I lost $90 to $100 a piece on
Yep.
multiple times, and I'm like, man, it's a roller coaster. It's fun and it's wild, and I like it, but I can't do it sustainably because I'm going to lose my mind and I'm going to throw this iPad, into the pond. Uh, one, one of those things is either like throwing my wallet in the pond or I throw the iPad in the pond. So, yeah, man, it's always really cool to hear your perspective on it, for sure. So, the Wii thing was really interesting too. We played the shit out of some Wii, as well as we were really into Rock Band for the
Oh yeah.
360. Dude, we had the fog machine, we had the laser lights. We were a lot of heavy drinking, the singing, the guitars. I remember our Rock Band days ended one night because the smoke alarm kept going off from the fog machine, and it was literally like fogging out the front door. And I had it hooked up to a 12-inch subwoofer in the living room. We had a big sound system and then a 12-inch subwoofer. And my wife at that time, she was in the room next door, or sorry, the next room over, and the bass hit so hard that my diploma fell off the wall and hit her in the head. And she came out like holding her head. She's like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, that was kind of the end of Rock Band. So front door open, fog rolling out with strobe lights and stuff like that. But man, we played the shit out of that. I still have that actual 360. It's one of the few things I still have from back in the day. So it's got like I don't know 300 song downloads on it, like
Yeah.
legit,
Yeah.
downloads. So next time you make it to the cabin, we'll have to get some guitars and some fog, and
Yeah.
we'll fog it up and be real weird
Oh
back here.
yeah, I played the mess out of Guitar Hero. I mean, I had the drum sets, the mics, all of it. And played it for a long time, and then I didn't have the time and wanted a PS3 and traded it all in for the PS3 and moved on with my life for a while.
Yeah. So what are you collecting nowadays? Like what's hot on the list for Matt when you're looking on Whatnot or even the Bay or in person and where so two questions. So what are you collecting? What are you passionate about today? And what's your sourcing looking like for those items between online and local and stuff?
Well, what I collect, what I'm into right now. So, I've had a lot of things pass through my hands, a lot of games. Sold a bunch of them. As you can see behind me, I kept a bunch of them. And so now I'm at this point where I have a few items that I'm looking for. Sometimes new things pop up, like, yeah, I want this item, and it just happens by chance. Like I bought a diabetic game that I never knew existed for Super Nintendo. And I'd like to have the other one at some point. It's just a matter of time and when I grab it and when I have when the time, when I just feel like saying, reminding myself, saying, hey, you need to, say, hey, let's get this. But what's hot on my list right now is kind of just completing a couple of heavy hitters for myself. Like I spent, oh, I don't know, I spent quietly a good 2 months sourcing Super Metroid. I wanted a super nice one, a very clean one. I've been watching shows and asking around, and there's been a few sellers that had them on here and wanted those. But sometimes the price was too high or somebody else bumped in, and I just like, well, I'm not going to get in a battle that goes up way too high, because at this point I'm only spending money that I have. I'm not going to get into the credit card and start running that up, because I just don't want to do that to myself, because I know myself. If I start running the credit card, I'm not going to stop myself, because I'm like, oh, I can do a little more, and then I'm going to have a busted credit card that I'm going to have to pay off and not want to do that. So I'm being conscious of where I spend and what I spend heavily. But yeah, like I sit here and save up and waiting for, like, I'm in the process of looking for right now a Batman and Robin, Adventures of Batman and Robin box for the SNES. Or what else am I? There was something else I'm majorly looking for. Oh, RoboCop Terminator.
Mm.
Try to get it the other day for the Super Nintendo with the, the, and Frack beat me to it. So those are a couple of the items that I'm really looking for. I don't feel that I'm looking for Sega anymore. I don't feel, I mean, I will grab NES all day, every day, because boxed NES is liquid cash on whatnot for the most part, especially if it's nice, clean, pretty. It moves. It doesn't matter. So I'll grab that all the time, if it's clean and nice. And some of the ugly ones I'll grab too, just because I know people out there obviously don't want to spend a ton of money and they want a boxed NES game. And so if they can get it for a good deal, then I'll grab the uglier ones and let them get something that maybe they had in their childhood. Because my goal is to find things that people want. So sourcing. Let's see. I have a buddy that's out here with me in East Texas, and man, he can find things better than I can all day. Um, Matter of fact, and he's got this YouTube video that's going to pop up that he bought this storage building out of Seagoville, and I mean, it is got an enormous, I don't want to put a number on it, but an enormous amount of items in it that are gaming, that are anime. There are graded comics that are signed by Stan Lee. There are uh, all kinds of Pokemon that are old and new cards. There is giant Joker statues that are astronomical numbers and in their box and brand new looking. And I'm just like, and he paid nothing for the storage comparative to what he's going to make off of this storage. And I'm like, that, and he seems to find these things all the time, all the time. And I'm today we went garage selling all day. I found one game today, one game, and it's only and I only grabbed it because it was $1, and it's something that I've seen sell decently here on Whatnot and on eBay, and it's like a Dragon Ball Z game, and so I'm just like, okay, well we'll grab it because it's $1, and so sourcing has become a little bit of an issue. It's why I've gone back to one show, because it's hard to find games. I have some friends in Dallas area that I can hit up if I want a bunch of loose carts and stuff, but I kind of want to be known for CIBs as well. That's, what I love selling, honestly. I love opening the box, showing the box. I love the good conditions. I love just holding it and presenting it to the buyers and them enjoying just going after it. It's a work in progress on things I do, but I have some things I'm very particular on, but I have sourced for myself and for the show if it's good enough deals on the Bay. Um, Sometimes you just got to look for things. I'm not in Florida like some of the sellers that can just walk down the street and find games all over the place, and or like some people up in the north who are right in the central of every large city of the Midwest and are an hour from every city and can just go here and there and grab all kinds of things and create great shows like that. And, but there again, I have to remember what Phonopoly does say a lot. It's about connections too. You make a connection with somebody in, real life, not on Whatnot screen, but out there in the world that doesn't do it, then maybe you have a connection for a lifeline of games to resell and stuff. So that's where I am. But it has also created where I've decided to do other things as well. It's like tomorrow I'm doing a toy show, my first ever toy show. We're gonna try it out. We're gonna see what happens. I got tons of toys, and we're just going to sell them. Action figures, stuffed animals, and everything's going to go cheap. Just see if I can get something back for things that I wanted and bought, and other extra pieces that I bought that I don't need. Because I mean, like our other den area is packed full of totes of toys that I don't really want, and they're just sitting there now. So that'll be
So
tomorrow.
I remember when you started saying, "Hey, I'm looking at these toys and stuff like that." You really lit up when you started thinking about getting some toys for the collection and whatnot. So obviously you can see all the games behind you on this little bitty screen I'm looking at you at. You know, what's like one game that you would never sell out of that collection, and then maybe what's like one toy that you would never sell? Love to see it if you don't
Um,
mind sharing.
well, I don't. The toy I have is not in here.
Okay,
It's put up. It's an inbox Batmobile that I had as a kid.
sweet.
The 1989 Batmobile. I had it as a kid. I rebought it. It's not the original one I had. The original one I had, I played to death till the wheels fell off because I loved that Batman movie from 1989. I bought or I didn't buy. My parents bought all the action figures for me for Christmas. Uh, the Joker sidekick Bob, had all those guys. I even had the Batcave, and I mean, I played with them until every piece was almost broke and was done with them. And so that's probably the one toy I wouldn't sell just because that was the piece that I always had till the very end. And I can remember, I still today remember when my parents put in a garage sale and it sold for a quarter. And the little wings on the back I'd broken off, and the little trunk that was supposed to open up and close, I'd taken that off. And so it was real well used and loved. But um, as far as games I wouldn't sell, man. I don't know. I mean, you asked me a question about games that I loved as a kid, and I got games that I love as a kid, but I'll sell them and then just go find them again if somebody really wants them, but they would have to have a price. Um, Game I really wouldn't sell. Man, that's a tough question to ask because to me, everything does have a small price. I probably I mean, because I could say there's childhood games that I played all the time, like Street Fighter 2. That was a major game I have, but I can go find a cleaner one, at a convention or here on Whatnot. I played NBA Jam every day, NBA Jam Tournament Edition every day with my buddies, by myself. If somebody really asked and really wanted a price on it, I'd put a price on it and then just go find another one. Um, so it's hard for me to say something that I would hold on to the very end. Um, and truth is, it's probably a game I don't play, or I played a little bit, but I don't touch. Because of who I am as a person, I would probably hold on to all my Bible games and not sell them. A, they're hard enough to find as it is in good condition, and most of them are in bad condition, but it's just because of who I am. I would hold on to all my religious games, matter how corny they are. I would just hold on to those, probably, just as a significant symbol of what I believe and who I am as a person. So,
Awesome. Yeah, as you were describing those two, I was looking around and I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what I wouldn't sell either because I lost all of my collection, like all of it. I remember selling the gold Zelda in the box at 6 or 7 years old for $5 at the garage sale. Like I remember the day. I still remember the day, and I was like, oh, I need that $5. And my Zelda 2 and all that. But the ones that I've gotten since, they're not my originals. So
right.
they're not like ironclad. Now I don't go and run to sell them or anything, but it's yeah, I kind of in a similar boat. I mean, the only thing that I have still that's OG is actually like an Xbox 360, and it's the weirdest thing because they're not worth anything. They're not
Yeah.
whatever. But we played the hell out of it, and it's still the original one. It actually went to my nephews, and my nephews had it for, geez, I want to say they had it for 10 years, and then when I started collecting again, I called my brother. I'm like, hey, I want my shit back. I need all my shit. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, give me all the stuff back, man. I need all of it. He's like, the kids don't play any of it. Come get all of it. He actually had my original Wii as well, but the Wii disappeared, so no telling where that
Yeah.
went. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. I have three or four things that I don't think I would part with, but I wouldn't say that I would never part with them. I just wouldn't part with them right now. You know?
Yeah. And there too, all my original games, I was a normal kid and I barely kept the manual for them. So I don't, me just keeping a plain cart, my parents didn't have the thought process, nor did I, of, keeping boxes nice and clean and just keeping the boxes in general, um, which I kick myself. I mean, I had, because that PS4 I bought with the Red Dead Redemption, that box is worth something. Well, I threw that box away. I didn't know. I didn't think about that when I rebought into video games and stuff like that. I was like, this just takes up space and tossed it on out. Now I wish I still had it, but because that would be an OG thing that I had that I bought. I mean, I have the PlayStation in the game, but to have the box to put it back in would have been way more awesome.
Yep. Yep. Um, well, cool, man. The garage sales and stuff. I mean, are you in Texas? Is it like garage sales like a daily thing, or like they go all year long, or what's like the garage sales season in Texas? Is it the same as everywhere else, or is it like more of a year long deal?
Well, our weather's fairly decent down here, so it goes deep. There are even some in January, February. They try to get them on warmer days. Most of the time it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. Here in the town I live in, where the town I grew up in, they would do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you would sit out there from 7 in the morning till 5 at night, um, or 5 in the evening, and then you'd shut down for those 4 days straight. Where I live now, they most people will do a Friday, Saturday sell, and Saturday they're closed at 12. Like, oh, it's lunch, we're done. We're not going to make any more money. So the guys who do stay open later, they get more business. Um, but garage sales usually like that. Of course, I'm only an hour away from the world's or the country's largest flea market called First Monday, and I'm sure listeners and others have heard of that. Which, to be honest, you would think you could source there, but you can't. There's literally nothing there. There are two guys that I know of that sell games in there, and they're all humongously overpriced. And they don't. If you buy it, you buy it. You can't bring it back. And last time I didn't check something and broke. It didn't break me, but it was like I bought a game that had the same disc in it twice instead of having disc one and disc two, and I think it was like Call of Duty, the dual pack or something like that for Black Ops. And I mean, I didn't spend a ton of money, but I bought it to put it on eBay because it was going fast on eBay, and then it didn't have the other disc. And I was like, well, of course it didn't. So, and I didn't check because I was off looking at other things. And so, but those guys, it's hard to source in Texas, to be honest. I mean, I'm probably going to go to the Classic Game Fest down in Austin. It'll be in July, and we're going to check that out. And then I know we have Retropalooza in November in Fort Worth, and so I'll probably check that out. And so I hope to get some things for the show and just kind of like build up enough till we get back in the springtime and stuff. And then, I mean, next year I want it. I would love to go to Midwest. I would love to go to SoCal. I would love to do Siege out there in the East Coast and stuff. But there again, it's all about, do I have the finances to fly out there and do this and go there? And it just depends on the timing as well. So,
Awesome, man. So um, there's so many things coming up. You know that the way you listed out like that. I want to at least make one of those I guess one event in the next year or so. Um, Louisiana's kind of crazy. You know, you described the market over there. I'm sure you guys have tons of competition too. Our Facebook marketplace is absolute garbage here. I mean, it is. I have a hard time imagining it being any worse anywhere else in the world than it is here. Although I did convert a deal today, but it was terrible if I actually showed you how I had to convert it. But man, like every price is like 30% over eBay, you know? Uh, Anything with games, there's 20 people inquiring before you even see it. It is crazy competitive. The sellers are out of control. The buyers are out of control. It's insane. I literally had a guy uh, this week that's like, "Do you know what this stuff is worth in 5 years?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I do. It's like 35 years old today. It'll be 40 years old in 5 years. It'll likely be worth this." He's like, "You're crazy, man. This stuff, I've had this stuff in my attic for 25 years. It's worth $1,000." And it was like an NES with like 5 games. I'm like, it's not going to be worth $1,000, bro. I was like, it's all good. I mean, like I said, hey, go check out eBay prices, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And man, the thing I struggle with, I think the most here, and it's exhausting, is trying to convince somebody that you shouldn't, as a person trying to buy things, especially to resell or whatever. It doesn't matter, resell, not resell, keep, whatever. People don't want to pay you over retail market on every individual item when you take your assortment of junk.
Yeah.
It's like 25 random ass items. I mean, like today, literally, I had a PlayStation 4 and then a copy of Street Fighter Alpha 2 and then a NES and then an Atari controller. And like, it's just the most random shit you can imagine. But they're like, that's worth $600. I'm like, nobody's giving you $600 for
Mm.
this stuff. Trust
Yeah.
me. So I'll leave them an offer and I'll say, hey, you got my cell. Hit me back up in a week or two, if you want to do the deal or not. And that's kind of what happened today. It went from 600 to he offered 450, then he offered 400, then he offered 350. And then 4 days later, he hit me and he finally accepted my original offer, which, by the way, was a fair offer. I think I paid him almost like 55, 60% on
Yeah.
his, random pile of stuff. It did have a couple cool things in it, though. It had a copy of Lone Ranger for the NES, so that was
That's nice.
cool.
That's a nice grab.
Yeah, it had Alpha 2, and then it had a Ice Blue Fantastic with OEM controller. So
Very nice.
outside of that, it was just a bunch of random stuff. A bunch of Excite Bike, and look, I like Excite Bike. Don't get me wrong, but I have 9 copies of it. It's just a bunch of
Don't we
those type.
all?
Yeah, Excite Bike, Mario Duck Hunt, just kind of your standard stuff. But
Yeah.
I was actually shocked when I actually converted it because I mean I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, but it is a tough market for marketplace. And then we're lower income out in this area too, so I get it. People want to get top dollar, but it is pretty funny when it's more about you don't know what this is worth, blah 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 blah. When it's like, I actually kind of do, kind of deal
Right.
with it every day. Uh, I always joke that the game cabin is a not-for-profit business. We hang out and we try to break even, is what it kind of seems at times. But yeah, it's interesting being a seller, man. I've learned a lot, but I got so much to learn still, just about games in general. That's
Oh
why I
yeah.
like picking your brain and there's at least 5 or 6 others that I text on a daily. Hey, what's your opinion of this? What about this? I got a Final Fantasy in a few days ago. I sent you a picture of it. It was a Canadian version, but it has sticker seal on it,
Right.
and
Right.
I'd never seen that before. So I just sold a Mario sticker seal on auction that went, and it was a beat the hell box, and it went for $440 something or 39 $439 something like that. And I was like, man, sticker seals are hot. So I got the Final Fantasy, and I'm like, this is $1,000 game. But then come to find out, the sticker seals in Canada were later. They just didn't use the shrink wrap on a lot of them, so no telling. But I still can't find a comp. I still can't find one out there anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. They're hard
Can't
to
find
find.
a
They're,
can't find a sold one. Can't find a listed one. Can't find jack shit. So I've got a mystery Final Fantasy that's hanging out here in the cabin. So we'll see what happens with it. But it makes you realize like there's so much that
Oh yeah.
there is to learn, and you're never going to learn it all, but it's cool to pick up on certain things as you go.
Yeah, yeah, it's always fun to learn. I've learned a lot on just like the three guys that I always mention that I'm always in their room. That's I've learned so much from them, whether it be gate codes or quality and quantity and things like that, or variants that go with this variant and dash numbers, and because I never knew about the dash numbers for a long time, and then I just sit around and listened and picked up things and learned that way. And my marketplace isn't much different from y'all's over there. It's a lot of trash, and so I take advantage of that. And so when I find cheap consoles on whatnot, they immediately go on marketplace, and uh, I sell them at a decent price, much cheaper than everybody else. And that's instead of just trying to pay fees and heavy shipping for somebody on whatnot, I just do a local deal for somebody who's looking for consoles. I can't keep a Super Nintendo in my house to save my life, except for the ones that I own for myself. So I mean, they just fly here in Texas. I guess everybody just wants one. So I had
Yeah,
one coming in the other day from Mishmash. So it'll be cleaned up, nice and shiny, and put on marketplace and be gone in a day or two. So
nice. I need to send you the one I got today in that hodgepodge. It's an extreme two tone, to say the least. So very brown on the top and very white on the bottom. Um, so, but you know what? Hopefully it works. We'll see. I tried to get a little demo out of it and got pretty much told to go to hell. So I'm testing the durability of Super Nintendos. I've had pretty good luck with them myself. So I made sure I was in such a deal that even if one of them was fried, it still would be okay. So
yeah,
um, which is still hard for people to understand. I'm like, hey, bro, you selling me three consoles? Like, can you plug them in? Can you show me that they work? And they're like, I'm like, why not? They're like, well, I'm getting it from a mini storage. Like, you want it or not? I was like, well, the price reflects that they may not work. So just a heads up on that. You don't want to go a little bit further than I'm going to
right,
pay you, assuming that they may work or they may not work. So,
right.
um, well, cool, man. Well, look, I'm gonna leave one more question for you, and then wrap it up, and then hopefully we'll sell some games after. But um, what are you looking forward to the rest of the year, man? Either on your show or personally, like what's your outlook for the rest of the year?
Outlook. I mean, just to be able to be on here and have fun. I mean, I that's what I enjoy doing, the once a week thing and just selling stuff, and I'm hoping to collect some of the boxes that I'm looking for and just, complete my game room on what I want for me, and then just strictly source for everybody else, or to have items and, just create Matt's Retro World as it grows. I mean, an ultimate goal of mine would to be have a brick and mortar and do like games and toys, records, VHS, all like these things like modern day antiques, which is funny to say. It's like an oxymoron, modern day antiques, but that's what these are. Is why we call them retro, and do that someday. But you know, time will tell. But as far as this year goes, just growing the show and finding new buyers, and enjoying the time that I have on the screen with everybody. It's what I enjoy. And then watching new sellers come on and take advantage of them selling things stupid prices. I'm kidding. But helping them along the way, um, and just watching all these new people. I mean, like I pressure. I think every show I pressure Karma and Oreo that they need to do a show, and I think it would be fun just to watch them do a show. I mean, I really enjoyed Bad Idea Dad's doing his show. I like seeing new people pop on and doing things. I really enjoyed H5 when he did his shows and all this stuff. I still enjoy H5. So I enjoy all these guys that do new shows and things. I enjoyed Horse. I enjoyed your show quite a bit. It's why I hang out all the time. Of course, you forced me by being a mod. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I like watching new guys pop up and sell stuff. I can't there are some rooms that I can't really go in anymore. It just irritates me, especially when they get angry or they're just like, "Why aren't you buying this?" And why, there are people that I can't handle that anymore. But other than that, everybody else seems, as long as you have a chill vibe and having a good time, that's all that matters. You may not have the product I want, so I may not stick around for a long time, but and that's what I do. I just go from show to show and I take little ideas and I add it to what I want to do and just kind of hope to build on that.
Yeah, and one section of this show that I completely forgot to do, so I guess we're going to do it now. Go figure. It's literally the first episode, right? Is take any requests from the chat itself. We've been seeing the comments tonight. I think my favorite was the smelly cardboard boxes. The ones that smell like mold are the best. But if there's anything you guys want to hear about from Matt's Retro World, make sure to throw your comments in there, and we'll hang out for just another minute or two to give you all the opportunity for that. So that's part of the reason I wanted to do this on Whatnot itself. Is obviously you got the audience here, and then we're all hanging out in rooms all day, every day together for the most part. So it's good to hear people's voice, see their face here and there as well. For everybody that's going to follow this show, this will be edited slightly, just to, like the start and the finish. Obviously we had all the IT issues. We'll have like a start and finish, and then it'll go on YouTube. You can find that at Horsetalk Game Cabin at YouTube, and it'll probably be on there on Monday or Tuesday. And then this upcoming Thursday, we have Sweet Oreo on as well to chat with us about her game experience and everything. Um, in anything. So we'll be a little bit more interactive with the chat there as well, which I think will be a lot of fun. So um, I'll wait just a second, see if anything else pops in the chat for Matt before we let him roll. And hopefully this thing recorded, because I'm looking at the top and it just says with Matt's Retro World instead of streaming on YouTube. So if not, I'll figure out a way. I'll go look at video receipts and screen record it or whatever. So
Well, it didn't
uh,
even happen.
oh, there's a great question for you, Matt, because the chat will not appear on the videos themselves. I'll read it out loud for everybody. But what is your thoughts on the Givey Goblins?
I mean, they're there. There was a time that I probably played a part in being a Gibby Goblin myself in the beginning, just to see what I could win for free. I think we all have done that at least once. Um, there are certain ones. There are ones that just enter in and they sit there quietly and then they win their giveaway and they say thank you and then they don't buy anything else and they go on about their days, and that's part of it. I don't have a problem with that. There are ones, and I don't know if you've noticed this in rooms, they tend to post something in the chat like twice, like boost up sales and blah blah blah. They got a whole like paragraph written down there and they post it twice, and then all of a sudden here they are winning the giveaway. Those type of people have figured out an algorithm and whatnot, and they kind of irritating. And then we got the ones who are the form fillers, which I've never had happen. Of course, I don't do buyers giveaway. I probably should at some point, maybe for my 1 year anniversary. That'll be my thing. One buyer giveaway. I don't know. We'll see. But the ones that didn't buy anything and filled out the form and they get the product, and some sellers they adhere to the rules very strictly. Some sellers like, well, you're gonna get something, congrats. And then um and it is aggravating on those, but it's, to me, it is what it is. It's Whatnot. Until Whatnot finds a way to fix that, of course, all they'll do is take it away, just like they took away tipping or something like that. Not tipping, but gifting to others. They'll just take it away. And because as general things as humans do, one person ruins it for everybody. But here it's more than one person, but it'll get ruined for everybody. And I mean, it'll probably streamline um, doing, shows and stuff, but because I mean, honestly, I hate losing $9 a show for giveaways. I would prefer the giveaways that I do give away go to people who buy items, and so I feel better about that. But it happens. So
Yeah, and I really don't know how I feel about it. I've had people that if you say thank you, I'm usually pretty happy about that. I'm like, oh, they
Yeah.
recognize that they got
Yeah.
something. They said thank you. They're appreciative. That's good. Um, I've also done it with the gumball machine. Like it's like I'm just going to give somebody something that I want to give somebody something to, and uh, it's probably against the rules, and I'll probably get banned for it. But
Nah, because it's all
sometimes
free.
yeah, sometimes that's fun. I mean, it's you throw it in the box. Now, it was interesting the other day because we did some stuff for Divine because he bought a bunch of nice things and I was very appreciative. And then his customs form printed, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, can I throw this stuff in this box with all this customs form because none of it's like on the customs form. So we're about to see if all Divine stuff gets stopped in customs with a. He won like a mug, like one of those like
Yeah.
Stanleys, like the big tall Stanleys, and then there was a T-shirt, and I was like, do I just like write this on the customs form, like free shirt, free cup? I'm like, I have no idea. So, um, yeah, but I don't really know how I feel about it. I will tell you this: I've gotten to a point personally where I don't enter the Givey unless I'm prepared to buy something in the show.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't want to win it and then be like,
Yeah.
oh, shit, I hate that I won that, and then I'm gonna go buy something after that because they already paid for shipping. So,
Oh, yeah.
and then I don't know why, but my OCD hurts me badly when I see the scenario where somebody wins something or buys something and they're like, no, I want to give it to so and so, and I'm like, now the seller's got to pay that shipping to go to so and so. Like they can't do that. Like they can't. The shipping's still going to go to you. Like you can't get it over to. I think there was one the other day with thrifting for anticipation. I'm like, well, that's going to cost the seller, $6 to do this, and I don't know why that drives me so insane, but I think it's just the knowledge of hey, you can't reroute the shipping label, like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So I always cue in on that. So yeah, the gumball machine is actually my wife's idea, and it's been I think it's been going pretty well. We got a whole drawer of things, and frankly, I don't know what some of them were. And somebody would win it, and I'd be like, "What is that?" And then I have to go search through the drawer and try to figure it out. Especially like the Sonic keychain. Multiple times I couldn't figure out what that was. So um, cool. Well, Matt, look, thank you so much for joining us tonight, dude. It was great talking to you, getting to see
Oh,
your
yeah.
face,
Sometime.
even if it was on the short screen, the little screen out to the side, and we'll have you back on here shortly. So, current lineup for this podcast is Sweet Oreo on Thursday, and then I think we'll have like a 2 week break, and then Dimitri will be on following that. Have talked to multiple of you guys trying to get into the queue as well. So I'm going to stream just as normal, hang out, sell some games after this. But Matt, thank you so much, man. Great talking to you. Talk to you every day, but it's cool to talk to you live tonight.
Yes, sir. It's a fun time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. All right, we'll catch you later, dude. We'll see you here shortly.